Sweet. So it's that time of year again, and we got a clogged carburetor already. Well, I suspect it is. We have a crank no start on my Paramotor. What the frig? That's what I get for letting it sit, and I got busy. And this is fresh fuel I just put in here. This is ethanol free premix. What was in here was regular 10% ethanol, which is bad news. And it sat in there. It was the last time I ran the thing. Jeez. I think it sat. It was pretty close to a year. Time rolls on, and next thing you know, a whole year's gone. I drained the fuel out probably 10 months ago, and I don't know why I never listen to my own advice, but it's been my experience that with these style diaphragm carburetors, see, it's just a giant weed whacker, or a chainsaw carburetor is all it is. You got your low and your high speed screws right there. Can't really get in here. Your typical diaphragm carb is just supersized. I've found every time you leave that style dry, drain the fuel out, let it sit over the winter, you have nothing but problems. I should have taken my own advice and just left all the fuel in there, even if it did have ethanol in it. I think it would have been better off. Anyways, so I'll show you what it's doing. Plug in the battery. Yeah, we got power. It's been a crank no start. So we got fuel. There's a tachometer. All right, that tells me we got spark, but we got a fueling issue. Even though I pulled the plug earlier and it was pretty wet, that could have been just from me priming it. I would have thought it would have fired on that prime, but yeah, just because it's reading doesn't mean the spark plug's good. I mean, typically a spark plug doesn't fail while it's sitting over the winter or summer, but you know, you never know. Things can happen, but it's not very likely. I'm gonna pull that plug one more time, just make sure it's dry. You gotta watch out on these things. These are blenders. You'll get blended up. It's like a lawnmower facing the wrong way. It's supposed to be pointing at the ground, but it's right in your face. Even though it's wood, it'll hurt you. Do some severe damage. Now we got a temperature sensor on the end of here, so you just gotta be mindful of that. It's pretty dry. A little bit of oil on the outside, but I'm just going to clean this carburetor. I'm not even going to, I was going to spray some fuel in and fire it up, and I'm sure it'll run and everything. It's got compression. We're fairly certain it's got spark. It's kind of hard to test. Well, no, actually I can test this because I can bring the throttle all the way over here. Why don't we do that while I get the plug loose? So, okay. Temperature sensors free. Make sure this is tight. On paramotors, you want to make sure this is tight because this will come off. 90% of the time, these are loose. It's not a huge deal in a car or a dirt bike because you're on the ground, but if you're going to be flying something, that's something you want to look at. Tighten that thing down. Get a pair of pliers on there. Don't be shy with it. Snug it down so it ain't going to come off. I did that in the beginning. I can feel you guys can probably see it, my little gouge marks from the pliers. But I got in there and hogged it down because it was loose. So anyways, let's put this in here. See if where you guys can see. And we'll hold it. We'll be brave. Beautiful spark. Yeah, kind of what I suspected. Nice forceful flow of air coming out of the plug hole too. So we know everything's good. When something sits, it's a sure bet that you got a carb problem, especially if you drain the fuel on a diaphragm carburetor. Okay, this is a Talon 190 two-stroke. It's about 26.5 horsepower, roughly. And if you guys are wondering what this little zip tie is, this is how we prime it. It's kind of a primitive way of doing it, but you stick the end of that zip tie in the little hole there, and just the tension of it being in here is putting pressure on that. It's holding the needle valve open. So when you prime it, give it a couple squeezes, all that fuel squirts straight in there. Then you pull it out and you're ready to fire it up and run. There's no choke on this thing. it's just you're dumping fuel in there, so you don't want to go squeezing that friggin' primer lever. You're gonna have a crankcase full of gasoline. So this yellow, all these yellow marks you see everywhere, this is dichem. What do they call it? Cross check. It's just something that will let you know if something's been tampered with or loosened. Like if a bolt's gonna loosen up, you'll see the split. This stuff kind of flakes off. You'll actually see it here if I don't have my finger in the way. This is kind of a one-shot deal here. Okay, so now you're up nice and close, but you'll watch that stuff, see? So if you look at it and it's like this, now you know it's moved. It's just a little bit of added insurance on something that flies, you know? Now I'm gonna scrape it all off because put some more on when I get it tight again. Now we're gonna have to put a handy-dandy primer device somewhere else here. It's got some good resistance to it, so even if it were to loosen up, it wouldn't go too far. Okay, I'm gonna pull this out. Okay. Man, look at all that dirt in there. I wish this thing had an air filter. There's no filter on this. It's just an air box, open air box. So, man, it's fucking bad. Yeah, we'll clean all that up. I guess I got to get you guys on the other side, but before I do that, don't mind me, rookie day. I've never worked on a paramotor before, so this is all new to me. Boy, is that tight. I got to get a screwdriver. Barbed fittings are always kind of a fight. There we go. You can see the discoloration already just from the amount of time that this thing's been sitting. See how it's turned a bronze color. This is urethane hose. It's about the best hose you can get for fuel resilience, I guess. Life with ethanol fuel. The ethanol kills everything, kills rubber. It's just corrosive, bad crap. I don't know why they put it in that fuel. But. So, okay, we got that done. I thought I was going to have to take this off, but it's kind of frayed out. So if this ever were to... Where are you going? If this were ever to come loose, it's not going to fly off and disappear on you. You at least have some very minimal throttle control. You probably wouldn't be able to get the wide open throttle, which would be kind of frightening if you were down low with a lot of trees. I'm holding this little insert. I don't know if you guys can see that. It's basically just a rivet. These guys at Blackhawk, man, they get a lot of crap. I don't know why. These guys are friggin' smart, man. They know their stuff. There's a lot of things. I'm a mechanic. I work on all kinds of different things. There's a lot of things I've seen on this paramotor that are very impressive. Like, that's ingenious. Using a rivet, you know, to hold the thing in there. And it's simple to remove it. You just push the throttle forward and it comes right out. Perfect. I mean, that's you can't beat that. Man, I'm doing battle with this camera today. You recording? Okay. Got a birdie's eye view. It's a 4mm round. Out she comes. Okay, now this plate's free. Tuck that over there, we'll put this on the bench. Is that all that's holding this on here? I'm gonna be really happy. Oh yeah, that was easy. All right, this is pretty tight, this hose. I'm gonna try to use a screwdriver. And I'm glad I'm filming this because I'll forget which way the carburetor goes on. I'm good like that. There we go, okay. Now that is that. It's a Walbro. It's a big one. Different than I've ever seen, but usually these are all pretty much the same. Looks like you pretty much can't go wrong. You got a rounded part here, so you're not going to be able to get it backwards or sideways. It's rectangular, so that's kind of impossible to screw up. Same here, you get a little locating pin. So actually I don't have to make any marks on this. But what I do have to do, we're going to take these out. We're going to count number of turns, remove those, get this thing torn down. Stick that in there. All right, got my wife's face cloth here. She won't mind. She'll get over it. Okay, so low speed's a little guy. Can't get these mixed up. I already got them marked because I was already fiddling. Back when it was new, I wanted to make sure it was plenty rich. So there's one, and about one turn on that. It's breezy out there. It's beautiful. Beautiful. I saw 64 on the thermometer, cylinder head temperature. There she is. Well, that's a long one. Now, there's a reason why you don't want to go hogging down on something like this. You know, you only want to turn it till it stops moving. You don't even want to tighten it in the slightest. It doesn't need to be tight. It just needs to stop. If you tighten it, you'll mushroom the end of this, and that'll screw up the mixture. That'll be bad. Don't do that. So this is pretty easy. No tools required for the high-speed one. So we've got a mark right here. So we'll go 1. And I don't even think that's a 1/4. I guess it is. Yeah, 1 1/4. We'll call it that. You can always adjust these after the fact. See, now I'm running ethanol-free gas. That's another variable you got to think about when you're playing around with different fuels. There's a brass washer I just noticed, which means there's probably a rubber in here. Yep. And then there is. We're going to take that out so it doesn't disappear. See it? There's that. Put that there so you guys can see. So it goes, that's the order of assembly. This goes on here, then that, then the O-ring, and then you screw it in. What was I talking about? Man, do I get sidetracked. Thank God for rewind. So what I was getting at is when you stop messing with different fuels, you know, you got 10% ethanol, which is sold pretty much everywhere now. In Massachusetts, you can't get anything but 10% ethanol at any gas pump in the state, aside from an airport where they sell 100 double L, low lead. That's got lead in it. And not only is it $5.50 a gallon right about now, but if you're going to run that consistently, you got to buy a lead fouling preventer like TCP. That stuff's $48 a quart. So you want to run aviation fuel, you're going to pay. It's very expensive. Better bet for us here in Mass is to get yourself a tank. Head to the Great White North up in New Hampshire, or head out to New York. New York State has ethanol-free premium at certain gas stations. I can't walk and chew gum at the same time, so I'm not getting anything done here. But yeah, Stewart Shops out in New York. I've talked about this before in other videos, in case somebody's new and didn't hear that conversation. They carry ethanol-free premium only, so you got to pay, you know, for the premium gas, which to me, you know, lack of trouble from ethanol is well worth the extra 30, 40, 50 cents a gallon, whatever it is. Well worth it. It might not be to you, but it is to me, because I don't like having to work. I'd rather be out operating my stuff than sitting in here on a beautiful day doing what I'm doing here. So let's get this open. There goes all the gas, and that felt pretty stiff. No, actually, it's not bad. Must have just been the gasket. So we probably just got some crap in here. Okay, so this is a little different. See that lever? It's forked. So you can't pull this straight out. You got to go back and then up. It's got a little groove. Make sure this doesn't spin. This shouldn't spin. You don't want to go forcing it, but you'll be able to tell very little pressure. So yeah, this actually feels pretty good. There's nothing wrong with this. I don't think we need to take this off. Probably would be better served to do so. I would definitely want to take the needle valve out of there. Press really hard and turn. Screw stuck to the magnet. And we got the little spring coming. Got the big old needle. Holy crap, that thing's huge. Let that fall out. Let that fall out. Put that there. And put the spring there. Guess we'll pull this off. I don't think I need to, but I don't want to do this twice. That's what I've learned with carb cleaning. Granted, this isn't very difficult to remove, but you're in a carb, you might as well do it all, whether it needs it or not. Just in my experience, it saves you a lot of headaches. Okay, put that on. I'm gonna remove this. This has a gasket. Yes, sir. Okay. Yeah, I'm glad I removed that. Very minuscule passageways in here. Got that there. Now we'll get onto this side. Yeah, and there's no way to mix this up, so that's a good thing. That's a big old diaphragm there. There's a little bit of, there's a little hair in there, a little piece of crap or something. Doesn't take much. We're going to go through every passageway, every single hole that I see, whether it's blind or not. I'm just going to hit it. That way you don't miss anything. You hit them all, even the screw holes. I don't care. You know what I mean? That way you don't miss anything. Well, this one I can see right through, so we don't have to hit that one. Or this one. Any blind holes. It looks like all of these screw holes go through. It's usually a sure bet. If you hit them all, regardless, you won't have a problem when you put it back together. So these GoPros, they chew up batteries. The last battery had plenty of life left in it, but it was glitching out every 30 seconds and shutting that stupid thing off. I'm telling you, man, I have no luck. I say it all the time. Wow, look at that. Three delivery holes for the fuel. Interesting. So this has got some crap in it. So you want to go through the needle. That should blast that stuff out of the screen there, as you can see. It's like to see where all these passageways go. Some of them don't go anywhere. That's okay. Try to stay away from the paramotor so I don't get it. I'm going to get it in the eye. Oh, I see what was happening. So when I was shooting it down in there, it was blasting it right across this open space and coming out of these two holes. Ain't that something? Interesting. I don't see any like idle passages or anything. Oh, okay, I see where it is. It's inside. There's tiny little holes in here. Yeah. I don't know if you guys can see that. See a little straight stream going down. That's usually the first thing to clog. Yeah, see, now I see two streams coming out when I hit it like this. Hope you guys can see that. Okay, so all those are free. They're free and clear. I can see them. Okay. Technical difficulties. Please stand by. The high speed comes right out of that big nozzle. Okay, so that's the only passageway to there. Okay, I think we've hit just about everything. It's time to give her a little. I don't like to go full bore in case there's little check valves. I don't think there is. Oh, I just blew the screen out of there. You fucking dummy. Did you guys see where the screen went? Got some parts. This is what we got. Little screen. Several days later. Yeah, it's looking like it's gonna. I'm gonna get a quarter drive socket to push that down in there. Okay, so I got a 5mm socket. Try to get this straight. Seem to push it in nice. Okay, I think that's going to be good. Looks like it's seated evenly all the way around. It's in a position where it's not going to just fall out of there. Give it one more push for good measure. I want to go hammering on this thing. Put a good amount of pressure on there, so I'm going to say that's good. I'm just going to back blow through here with brake clean, not with compressed air this time. That was a big time rookie mistake. So I'll go down the needle hole here. Been apart for so long, I wanted to clean it anyways again. Anybody remember how this goes? Because I don't. So we'll get the screw and the magnet, get that ready to rock, get this going the right way because it's a ratcheting screwdriver. So this is all set. Now you can see the little dimple for the spring, so that tells me the needle goes here. So I'm going to hang the needle. But before we did this, should have put the spring in place. I'll just get that set right in the hole, and we'll get the little rod through the little fulcrum lever device. And we'll drop the whole thing on the ground. Okay, let's try this again. Oh, she's going. Spring got frigged up. You son of a... Okay, we got that screw going. Okay. Now this is a little different than I've ever worked with. Well, most of the weed whackers and chainsaws have a solid nub on the end that just pushes on top of this. That's it. This one here actually hooks into it. So let's see if I can do this on camera somehow. And this is actually going to go this way. See, it's got a hole right there. So that's going to line up to that little tit right there. So I just noticed, I don't know if you guys can see, that's a screen, see? You can see through it. Good sized chunk of black crap in there. I'm glad I blew that out. I don't know if that got there just from sitting here. Anything's possible. Car's been coming in and out of here for the last few days. I should have done this before I put that in, but actually it doesn't matter. Yeah, that goes right in nice. And the two oddball screws that I have go there. These are, what do they call that? Tapered head, I guess. I'm sure there's a technical name for it that I can't think of. Not that it's important, but unless you need to order one, then it's important. Let's try not to do that. You want to get them tight, but you don't want to do what I just did. I kind of cammed it out a little bit. Probably need a new bit too. I have a bad habit of using bits much longer than they are supposed to be used. That'll usually end up rounding off your Phillips heads. So get that back in there. That's why I hate leaving things apart for any length of time. You forget things like this, you know. Then you gotta take it all apart, put it back together. At least that happens to me. My memory is shot. Big time. Alright, what is happening? Okay. Just making sure we're in. Yeah, we're locked in, okay. Yeah, if you're pretty particular, like I've been doing with the cleaning, you won't have any problems with these things. Carburetors they're extremely simple to work on. I see a lot of people online freak out about them. Everybody's, I guess, nervous of what they don't understand. I fit into that with the electronic side of things. I understand them more now, but I'll tell you, I prefer nuts and bolts stuff like this. To me, it's way more reliable. Like if I had a choice of a fuel-injected paramotor, no way. That's an unknown. You get a fuel-injected paramotor and you have an engine out, what are you going to do? And it's fuel-related, what are you going to do? Carry a friggin' scan tool with you? I mean, it's ridiculous. This thing here, you got a couple screwdrivers, a couple Phillips screwdrivers, and you're in business, man. You can do a carb clean right on the trail if you had to. Okay, that's it. Blow this off again. So the gasket is always above, when you got little flaps like this. I don't know if you guys can even see what the heck I'm doing here. These little flappers have got to close on these holes here. They have to touch them physically. So you don't want anything in between that. You can kind of see a little indent. You see that little circle there? That's from getting sucked into the hole. So looks like it goes this way. It's got an odd shape to it now. It's been sitting a while. I don't like how that's folding up on me. I probably should have rebuilt this thing while I had it apart. Didn't plan on having it apart for so long. We'll see how it runs. I got my training date, month and a few days away. I got plenty of time to get this going. That was actually kind of an unexpected thing. My buddy Chris Fenimore there, he's on YouTube. You see him in the comments section of most of my videos. He told me about Rick Davies. That's PPG Gorilla on YouTube. He's got a training thing going on down in Florida. Make sure I'm not forgetting anything here. I can't walk and chew gum, like I said. I gotta pay close attention. But anyways, he's got a training thing going on for trikes. That's exactly what I'm after. That's exactly what I have. I'd rather have someone who deals with trikes mostly than, you know, foot launch is the more popular paramotor sport by far, just from what I've seen. I haven't been around the sport at all, really. I just virtually online. I'm the only guy I know of in town that has one of these things. You know, it could be others, but I haven't seen anybody. I've seen a couple guys at the local airport up the road here. There's a little private airport. There was a couple guys with foot launch units up there, but nobody with a trike. I was self-training for a while, but it's slow going, you know. If you want to get in the air, you got to get someone who knows what they're doing and have them train you. It's the quickest way. I've had this unit for a year and a half, you know, and I've already got about, I don't know, 6 or 8 hours on the engine. I haven't flown it yet. That's just messing around in the yard and playing in the neighbor's field, trying to get my taxiing down. Yeah, it's just, it was a slow learning curve for me. I didn't have a lot of time to get out there and do it, and the weather up here. This time of year in Mass, you know, you get the warm days, you want to go out, and the wind is just screaming out there. Get all these weird fronts that come in this time of year in the spring. It's freezing right now. Case in point, I think the last time I was out here, it was 60 degrees. Right now, it's in the shop, it's 38. Outside, it got down to 10 the other day. So that's what happens this time of year. You play the game between 70 and 10. It's not good paramotoring weather. I'm not going to preach to you and tell you what to do as far as training goes. You know, of course, you're always better served to have a professional show you how to do this stuff. You know, the main thing concerning, you know, self-training is you got to know, you can't just get out there and start flying around because you're going to ruin it for everybody else. That's the main thing. You know what I mean? Like, you got to know the airspace law. You know, you can't just fly. You got an airport nearby. You gotta know. I'm doing this backwards. Where you're supposed to be, where you're not supposed to be. You know, you start doing something stupid and you make the news. And here I go talking. I'm not paying attention what the hell I'm doing. Dang it. I gotta put a spring in here first. Anyways, like I was saying, yeah, it goes spring, washer, O-ring. Anyways, yeah, this walking and chewing gum thing again. That's the high side. So yeah, I mean, and you can't go buzzing your neighbors if they don't, you know, if they're not explicitly telling you to. And actually, you don't really want to be doing that when you're a rookie anyways. There's just a lot of stuff, you know. I don't want to go hogging this down. It gets really tight there. Stuff will lose the feel. That's as tight as I want to go. So I go one. What are we, about 1 1/4? We'll see how it runs there. And this was a little past 1, I believe. Yeah, I mean, I rode off-road, you know, dirt bikes, four-wheelers. When I was a kid in the 80s, man, everybody had them. It was awesome. We used to go everywhere. And then the 90s came and people started calling the cops because people were tearing up people's lawns and doing stupid stuff, getting chased by the cops. And I'm not going to, I was one of them, you know, I did my share of stupid stuff, but, you know, it only takes one guy to go off the trail and into somebody's backyard and scare somebody's kids or dog or cattle, horses, tear up farmers' fields, and you're done, you know. And it's no different flying. It's going to be the same way. You got loud exhaust, you got an old paramotor that you got from somebody for cheap, and you start flying around. Man, you got to piss people off, and it's going to ruin it for everybody. Then nobody's going to be able to fly, or it's going to cost you $1 million. It's pretty good right now, the way it is. You want to kind of keep it that way, you know. Don't attract attention to yourself. Fly high, you know, only fly low where there's no people. Anyways, I'm done get off my soapbox here. Get this carburetor back on. Are we on? Check. All right, so putting these back together, one little trick. Take a look at both sides of the carburetor. Well, the side with the butterfly, 9 times out of 10 is the side that goes towards the engine. But the other thing you can note is the bigger side is always the intake side. You got to have a Venturi effect inside a carburetor, otherwise it ain't going to work. So there's going to be a taper inside. Wherever that mouth gets the biggest is the side that's going to be facing towards the air filter or air box. In my case, the air box, because there is no air filter. Give a little light blast of air in there. Make sure there's no crap. You don't want to go nuts on the reeds. what kind of reeds are on this thing. Most of them are composite these days. Back in the day, they were metal. The metal ones, you had to be real careful. Yeah, these look like carbon fiber. Yeah, that's pretty neat. I don't know if you guys can see that. It's kind of far away for you, but they do look like carbon fiber, which is cool. All right, so this is, we know this is up. I can't remember how this went. Did this go first? No, good enough. It must have went like this. Yeah. Yep. Actually, before I do anything, I'm gonna hook this back up. You can always tell, you remember we had this apart. This was just going into an empty cover. So the hose coming in here, that section of the diaphragm that didn't have the little flappers on it, that's gonna act as your fuel pump, because this goes directly into the crankcase. So all your pressure pulses, every time the piston goes up and down, you're gonna get a little pulse, suction and pressure. It goes back and forth. So it goes back and forth, and that's what pumps the fuel up in here. Pretty neat how it works. You can see the patterns in the gaskets here, and you can see they correspond to parts of the carburetor. So you want it to go like this. Oh, just the hose was getting caught. I'm gonna have to twist this another way once I get it bolted down, because I don't like the way that sits right there. I gotta go find the hardware. Aha, it's all coming back to me. Now with this ratchet, you gotta be super careful. Probably wanna grab it way up here. A little too much leverage. It's all aluminum. Some of it's plastic, so I go cranking on it crazily. Okay, so now I'm just gonna put our rivet back. It's a pretty ingenious setup. So give it some throttle. Stick that cable back in. Slide that washer in. And she's done. That's it. And that just stays there because the rivet keeps the line from coming out. As long as it's got the correct tension on it, it can't. There's no way that can come out unless it gets to the absolute end. We'll play with the throttle here, make sure she works. Biggest thing with these things is making sure the throttle doesn't get stuck. Do not want a stuck throttle. It's one of the things you want to be checking for fraying, like if it looks like the end of this. Yeah, this right here, if your cable looks like that end right there, it's time to replace it. Pretty easy to get this thing on and off. I've certainly worked on a lot more difficult stuff, that's for sure. Before I do anything, I want to get this die cam off of here, because we're going to put another bead of it on here. So that die cam cross-check, this stuff sticks like molten plastic, which is good. I'm going to blow this out real quick. Okay, let's get this on. Looks like I had it facing this way, right exactly there. Sometimes a little trick you can do is spray the inside of that rubber with brake or carburetor cleaner, something that evaporates really fast, and it'll slide right on nice. But when they get old and they get a little stiffer, a little brake clean sure makes a difference. I just want to go around the other side, make sure I got this, and I got to put this back in, my little primer, homemade priming device. Trying to get the clamp centered here. Well, your airbox, you probably noticed they had a tether on it, so if the airbox falls off, it's going to whack the prop, but it's not going to go through the prop and disappear. Might get bounced around in here a little bit. If it were to fall off, it might be short enough to where it misses the prop. That would be nice. But you definitely know something was wrong. If you were flying, that's pretty close to your head right there. So you definitely hear it. All right, so we got that tight. So I'm going to put the die cam on there. And that'll alert us to an issue if there is one. Stuff's like super glue. I'm gonna have to break the end off of that. Put a big blob. And we're ready. Just gotta give her a prime, hook up the battery, and get that little thing in there. So we got that in there. Now you can just watch the primer's way down there. So I'm just gonna give this a squeeze. You can see the fuel going up. There she goes. Did I forget to hook the line up? Yep. That was brilliant. We're in business. Yeah, you can see it's nice and warm out. Moment of truth, I'm going to have a seat. Get comfortable here. Stop button's on the bottom. All right, that's not a good sign. All right, so we're at the stage where I'm thinking we might need a carb rebuild, and I gave a little shot in the cylinder, so I'm going to see if it fires up and dies, then we're going to order a rebuild kit. And there you go. So we'll do it twice like we usually do on this channel. It's a good learning experience anyways. That didn't feel that bad to me, really. I've installed diaphragms and handheld equipment that were a lot worse. Lesson learned. Well, we'll compare the new one when it comes in. You guys will probably be able to tell the texture of it. So anyways, to be continued. Again. Oh, we got the repair kit. There's all the goodies. And it came with a screen. Wouldn't you know it? And I just ordered this to start with. Always trying to save a buck and it ends up biting me. So we got that. I'm working in the sun today because it's beauteous out. Everything's hardening up. There's no more mud. So I'm just going to yank that back out. We'll get this on the bench, get it rebuilt, stick it back in the machine. Okay, deja vu all over again. See, this has been sitting about a week now. The Postal Service is really failing miserably as of late. Stuff is just taking ridiculous amounts of time to get anywhere lately for whatever reason. I blame it on COVID, but I'm not buying it. Anyways. Get this thing apart, see what we got. There's usually a little bit of residue that sits in there. See? Yeah, it's all of my finger there. Very little, but enough to, if it were to clog, yeah, see, there it all is. If that were to go stale, it's ethanol free, it smells wonderful. You know, if that were to go stale, you're going to know it. You know, it's going to clog stuff up. So, this thing's junk. It really doesn't feel that bad to me, you know? Kind of in the shade here. Hopefully that works out better for you guys. Oh, we got a tiny, tiny, tiny little screen right here, see? Gotta watch out for that. That's in the bag. So, we got two different kinds. Now, this, see, I like this style better. This is Teflon. You can't even see. This is Teflon. This has higher, it pumps more fuel, and people say it pumps too much for certain applications. We're going to find out. It lasts a lot longer, holds up better than ethanol, and it lasts longer than this butyl rubber, just a regular black rubber diaphragm. We're going to go with this. There is both in there, so we're going to go with this. I'm just going to, just because I have it apart, I'm going to blow it out again. See my fingernail? Got a caught in a fan on my International Harvester tractor. Did a number on it. Little lapse of judgment. Wasn't paying attention to where I should have been putting my fingers. Put my fingers where they ought not have been. Debating on changing this. Yeah, you know what? We got it. We might as well change it. Might as well change it all. Piece right here should be this. And there's a gasket for the float. Says that. I don't see a spring in here. I see the needle. I see a little C-clip. I don't know where that C-clip goes. It's a little tiny thing. If you can see it. There's a couple Welch plugs there, a couple little screens. One is the one I lost, of course. I'm just going to put this in because we got it. Might as well use it. This can go in the trash. This here. This thing is super, super pliable. I mean, soft. You can kind of hear it. That's probably a sign that it's on its way out. I don't think this was quite as bad as this was. See, that's got a curve to it. Either way, we're going to change it. All right. If once was good, twice is way better. Hooks in, so we're going to kind of watch it there. Go down below the hook and in. That only goes one way because you, yeah, all right. Okay, that's that. Back together. Okay, got it primed up. Moment of truth. You gotta be shitting me. So what I've been doing off camera is playing around with the mixture screws. We haven't quite got it right yet. It's idling a little low, which tells me it's pig rich. Careful. Stupid thing was recording that whole time. Wonderful. She's running rich for sure, as you can see by the spooge. So I think I'm going to leave it there. This is running a little too long, as most of my videos do. I end up rambling, and nobody watches them. And they get over 20 minutes, nobody watches them. You can tell by the analytics, but whatever. Maybe it'll be of some use to somebody. It's all good. I'm trying to think. I got training coming up in a month with PPG Gorilla. Shout out to Rick there down in Wauchilla, Florida. Gonna be heading down there. It's gonna be a fun time. Be out of Massachusetts into some warm air. It's gonna be nice. Well, by April, it should be getting pretty warm. It's warm here now. We're in March. Pretty nice today. Got up to 63. Not quite warm enough for me, but in the sun it was nice. I like it in the 80s. That's my kind of weather. But anyways, we're gonna be flying this thing soon. So I'm pretty excited about that. Yeah, that was perfect. Stupid cameras.